NCIS crossover with NCIS Origins features a compelling case that spans decades, but while it's a decent TV special, a few tweaks could have made it better. The NCIS franchise is not new to staging crossovers, as the majority of its earlier spin-offs such as NCIS Los Angeles and NCIS NOLA were launched using the storytelling trick. With the cancellation of its traditional offshoots, however, crossovers have become a rarity, especially as the premises of its current kickoffs make it difficult to craft a narrative that could be tackled by multiple shows in the universe. Somehow, however, CBS is able to find a way to stage a crossover with NCIS Season 23 and NCIS Origins Season 2 despite the shows being set in different points in the timeline. The case starts in the past as one of the earliest and most controversial ones that Gibbs handled with Frank's squad. 30 years later, a break in it prompts MCRT to revisit it and eventually close the mystery. The 2-hour TV special is a treat for all NCIS fans, especially as it includes an update on how Harmon's Gibbs is doing in Alaska. NCIS Season 23 and NCIS Origins Season 2 features a compelling mystery with nostalgia-laced Easter egg CBS. In terms of just the case itself, funny how time slips away and, now and then, have some of the most creative storytelling the franchise has had in a while, both in terms of narrative and visuals. It tackles a suspicious small-town murder that imprisoned the wrong suspect, something that Frank's team knew but couldn't prove because the fall guy insisted on taking the blame to protect his then-pregnant mistress. The case apparently haunted both Gibbs and his boss for years, until Parker's squad finally delivers true justice 3 decades later. Seeing Harmon's Gibbs is great, but it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the NCIS Easter eggs peppered throughout the crossover. Bringing back Roma Mafia is a particularly inspired choice, considering how underutilized Diane Rodriguez's version of Vera is in NCIS Origins. Vera's reunion with McGee offers nostalgia, as they discuss her one-time involvement with Gibbs MCRT back in NCIS Season 11. The references to Dianozzo and Ziva are also nice touches. Beyond that, however, her brief but emotional conversation with McGee about how proud Gibbs is of him is special amid the character's identity crisis in NCIS. That said, Mafia isn't the only returning familiar face from NCIS golden years. NCIS Origins' aging scene with the wrongly convicted sheriff features the return of Muse Watson as the original Mike Franks. Similar to the way the prequel morphs Harmon's face with Austin Stoll, Kyle Schmid's young Franks transitions to Watson's version. It's a neat trick, albeit subtle in execution. It takes a while to realize Watson's appearance, but once it sinks in, it becomes one of the standout sequences in the crossover. Some tweaks could have made the very first NCIS and Origins crossover more satisfying. While CBS has come up with a solid case that justifies the crossover and made sure to reward longtime fans of the franchise with all sorts of nostalgic references, the NCIS Season 23 and NCIS Origins Season 2 crossover isn't without flaws. For starters, since the prequel and the flagship are set on opposite coasts, the story's culmination in Now and Then gets a tad confusing when it comes to logistics. The passage of time also becomes muddled, as the back and forth between California and Washington, D.C. for Knight and Torres is done instantly. The crossover is also to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Navy, which has been the focal point of the NCIS franchise. So, it's interesting that the Serenity case, as compelling and emotional as it is, barely has any ties to it. The flagship has tackled more powerful stories of veterans and even active members of the Navy, meaning that they are able to produce those kinds of narratives. The TV special could have been better if it had a themed plot that would shine a light on the service and sacrifices of the naval community. Finally, and arguably the biggest missed opportunity in the NCIS franchise's 2025 crossover is the failure to reunite Watson and Harmon as original Franks and Gibbs. NCIS Origins already had Watson on set, so it could have been done. After Frank's death 14 years ago, Gibbs' mentor continued to appear in various ways. Occasionally, he returned through flashbacks, but the most interesting way that NCIS has used him post-death is through hallucinations. During Gibbs' most trying times, Franks would appear before him and they would have conversations. It would have been a great way to emphasize the importance of their relationship if Harmon was revealed to be talking to Watson in his small Alaska hut.